You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Dog Pound Podcast right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. This is your October 6th, 2022 edition. Make sure you're following us on social media for updates and all of our Dog Pound coverage at Dog Pound Podcast. As well, you can follow us at Armchair GM Pod. Make sure that if you guys are enjoying the audio versions of the podcast, give us some love on whatever platform you listen to us in audio form. And if you're enjoying the video version of the podcast today, looking at our glorious, beautiful faces, make sure you're smashing that like, hitting that subscribe button, and that bell icon for all updates on videos that are released on our YouTube channel. Lastly, you can check out our website, armchairgmsports.com, and you can check out niagaraicedogs.net and go under the media tab, and we will have our own page on there for you guys. So you can basically navigate through all of our coverage right there on the Niagara IceDogs website. As always, I'm your host of the Dog Pound Podcast. My name is Brandon Caputo. You can follow me on Twitter right underneath there, at Caputs13_AGM. And to my left on the video, you can follow my co-host, Kyle Aikett, at JustKyle51. Kyle, what a first week for the Niagara IceDogs. And again, I know there's 65 games left in the season, but what a start.
There's not three? Tell me there ain't three games. Oh, we can't end the season right now?
No.
Damn it. God. It's first place, baby. Woo!
Right. Yeah, you're really going to get these people going nuts. But yes, on the show today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to discuss the IceDogs' 2-0-1 start to the season. We've got post-game wrap-up from head coach Daniel Fitzgerald. We've got some audio from Landon Cato discussing, actually, he grew up with Josh Bloom, who's now the captain of the Saginaw Spirit. So a quick little conversation with Landon, go over some of the trades that happened, and kind of look towards the second week of the season. And if we have time, go over the OHL media poll results for this season.
Yes, and like you said in the beginning, like one hell of a week for the IceDogs, and what a start! Just plain and simple, like what a start for this team, especially after coming out of last year, going into this season with all the talk about this team and all the changes. What a way to do it, and what a way to kick things off with a 2-0-1 start. And they've looked great. They've like out of the three games, they looked absolutely great. It's a completely different team than what we're used to last year. So if you haven't come down, guys, get yourself down to the Meridian Center and watch this team, because you will definitely be impressed. They look a lot better. And they just, again, like we said it before, we even said it through the training camp podcast, that they have this swagger now. Like they're walking around with this swagger about them, and the confidence level is on another level this year. And I think we're going to see a really big change in this organization and the team in general. And we're going to see a really, really great IceDog team this year. A very competitive team. I'll put it at that. Absolutely.
So as we look at it right now, I don't have it up on the screen for you guys. I've got too much stuff to put on the screen today. But the East standings so far, the Central standings so far, the IceDogs are leading the Central Division with a 2-0-1 record. Sudbury's in second, North Bay third, Barrie fourth, and Mississauga's actually in fifth. And yet they still remained on the top 10 CHL team list. So, again, I don't know how they're doing these rankings. It's almost as odd to me as the college football AP 25, but I won't get into that on this show. But, yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
An encouraging start, Kyle. We'll talk about the road trip in a little bit, but let's quickly talk about the Mississauga game, the home opener for the IceDogs. Zachary Lavoie gets a hat trick and including the game winner in overtime for the Steelheads, and of course former Ice Dog Jake Uberti, Big Bert, with 3 assists on the night. So good for you, Jake. I guess. Yeah. Here's my congratulations for Jake.
Oh, I think I heard one fan there.
Sorry. Sounds like
you must be used to that.
Sounds like the Paramount Fine Food Center. Anyways, so the first mic drop of the season there. Hope we don't get in trouble on that one. But it's good friendly banter. I mean, the Ice Dogs were the butt end of everybody's jokes last year. So you know what? It's about time that we dished it back once in a while. So
I don't hate Mississauga. I hate London. I hate London, but I don't hate Mississauga.
Well, again, we'll get into the trade after. I don't want to rant about it, but let's talk about the game, Kyle. What were your thoughts on the eventual overtime loss to the Steelheads, who are projected to be a top 10 team in all of the CHL? So it was a good showing. I know they didn't have Ethan Del Mastro on D, and they also were out without Luca Del Bello Blues, but they still are a dangerous team.
Yeah, I think what this game showed is that the Ice Dogs will most likely need to step up a little bit the next time they do meet each other, because they were missing those 2 key players in the lineup. Most likely by the time we get to the next matchup with these 2, they're going to be in the lineup. I think they did a good job holding them down. The main thing I saw a lot out of this team, the Ice Dogs, in mostly here, is the first game jitters. A lot of the rookies on this team were showing that they were rookies in this game. Getting their feet wet. It's their first regular season OHL game. Yeah, they had preseason, but this is where it matters, right? The nerves kick in, and the expectations are higher too in the regular season, especially with this team. So I think they did a good job as the game went on to kind of get into that groove and kind of find their game. And they did a good job. They held Mississauga down, and it was unfortunate what happened at the end of the third with Mississauga with that miraculous comeback, showing again that they are a dangerous team that can do something like this against. And the Ice Dogs can't let their guard up. They have to play the full 60 minutes in order to beat this team. And then we ended up going to overtime where Mississauga ended up on a costly mistake, putting the puck in the net and then winning in overtime. But other than that, we still got a point out of it. But I was very impressed with this Ice Dogs team. Again, it took a bit to get the nerves out, and there was the big costly. I think the big story of the game was the big costly. I want to put quote unquotes around it, penalty to Pano Femis that took him out of the game early on in this and really hurt the Ice Dogs lineup. Ari, the coach, going to work in his first regular season game, having to juggle the lineup without one of their best centers on the team. So
5 minutes in.
Yeah, 5 minutes in. So, the Ice Dogs already had to play shorthanded for the rest of the game after the first 5 minutes of the game. And a questionable, I don't know, from what I saw and then I saw on the replay, that I don't know how that was called a slew foot, especially now that they implemented those new rules. And the first game we're going to call this new rule, and it's an automatic 2-game suspension? I'm like, come on, that's just, I don't know about that. That was, think about it in hockey terms, it's a little soft.
Yeah, that was highly questionable. But again, they're gonna call it all season long apparently, and it's a automatic 2-game suspension. So it was unfortunate that Pano missed the road trip as well. So through 3 games, he's played a total of 5 minutes. And they're still 2-0-1. So I think that's definitely a positive to take away from that. But like you mentioned, being able to juggle the lines and having the rest of the forwards step up in the absence of one of your top centers. Daniel Michaud was one of the players that really stepped up in that center ice position. But Kyle, even if we would have saw this last year, an early penalty, which did happen sometimes, they did take a lot of bad penalties, especially early on in the year. A lot of undisciplined plays that cost them either 5-minute majors or game misconducts. And then Mississauga scores early. I feel like last year's team that they would have crumbled. I feel like the way that game started and the way that Mississauga gets on the board first, I just feel like last year the team didn't have the confidence to really be able to face through that much adversity and come out the other end. But I think with all the additions they've made and having this new coaching staff be here for the first time, they didn't let the guys, and I don't think the guys let themselves do that. I really feel like this group holds each other accountable for that. And having guys like Pasquale Zito, David Jesus, Nathan Rebo, Matthew Pappas all come over from really good programs and knowing what it takes to win in this league and having to go through adversity, I think having those guys around really gave this team a juice and really helped them kind of battle through, that tough sledding there in the first period, and they were able to come back and eventually scrape out a point where, we saw games against Mississauga last year where, it was like 6-7-1, and there was no chance that the Ice Dogs ever had in those games. So I think that's encouraging in itself that the Ice Dogs didn't let that really, affect them the rest of the game and really battled back and showed that this team has a different confidence and swagger that they can come back in these games.
Exactly that. And then now they have to carry that momentum into a 3-game stint coming up later in the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 1 game on the road, 2 games home back to back. They got a lot of momentum going in the next couple of games. And, even coming off that first game, the rookies got their feet wet. And, speaking of rookies, there was an emergence in that game. And we saw a little glimpse of it in that game. Well, we saw more of him on the weekend, but Kevin He really impressed me in that first game with his speed, but not only that, his high vision of the game in that first regular season game against Mississauga. I saw a lot of him. I'm like, oh man, he is going to be a dangerous player for this team if he continues this way. And sure enough, he continued that way into the weekend, which we'll get into. But man, he looked very good in that opening game, and it didn't take long for him to find his groove. That's for sure.
So let's get to Coach Fitzgerald's post-game thoughts from Mississauga on opening night there down at the Meridian Center.
You picked up a point tonight.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, maybe some comments with how you played tonight and how you think things went.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get off to a great start by any means, and going into the third period down a couple is obviously not ideal. What I loved was our resiliency, the way that we fought back into that game. We could have easily just laid down and died, and we showed a lot of moxie coming back in that game. Obviously, a couple bounces that didn't go our way. A few things that we need to clean up. We handed a couple to them. So if we clean that up and we show that resiliency time and time again, when things don't go our way, we're going to be poised to be a pretty hard team to play against. So, it's early days. A lot of positives we can take from this game.
One positive, obviously, Zito had a hell of a game out there. And how much are you going to count on him this year?
Oh, a ton. He's a very skilled player, a hardworking player. He's somebody that we need to rely on, in a group of many others. But, Pasquale's somebody that we need to show up every single night for 60 minutes. And, he has the skill and the ability to take over games, when he's jiving with his line. So more gel for that group, and they're going to be very dangerous.
Absolutely. You made a trade before the game. Picked up a couple of local kids.
Yeah.
When are they going to be here? Are they going to be here on the road this weekend?
They're going to get in tomorrow.
Okay,
so
and where do you foresee them fitting in?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where they fit in. They're obviously experienced players. Both had pretty good years last year. We love, the added bonus that they're local. But they're 2 guys with great pedigrees, and it's nice to be able to bolster both the forward group and the blue line at the same time. Where they'll fit in is where they jive the best with the players. So we'll see what we got, but we're excited to bring both the LeBlanc twins in.
Sure. And for you, what was it like to coach in an OHL game? You've been in a couple other levels.
Yeah.
What was it like to step behind the bench at the OHL level?
It was obviously exciting, but once the puck dropped, you forget that everybody's there.
Right.
It's just hockey again, and you're in the fire, in the fight with the guys, and doing everything you can to win a hockey game. So certainly exciting. It's a privilege to coach in this league, and won't take that for granted any day, but especially with the fans that we have and the support that we had. You saw it tonight. Incredible support, incredible energy in the building, and we're looking forward to more of that the rest of the year.
That's all. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks,
Any
Bill.
update on the status of Bryce Cook?
Bryce was a scratch tonight, and that's all.
Okay. Oh, the LeBlancs, did they come as a package deal?
Yeah, they came over together.
No,
for one
but
deal.
did they did they insist on coming together?
Oh,
I know they wanted to be drafted together.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that all worked out. That'd be a question for Darren, but we're obviously happy to have them both here. They're both great hockey players.
Okay, thanks, man.
Yep.
Coach, can you just talk about the confidence in wanting to put Owen Flores in the net tonight in the home opener? Still as a guy that's getting adjusted to the team here, but just talk about his game and really keeping you guys in it after that penalty-filled first period and being able to rely on him heavily tonight.
Yeah, Owen was fantastic for us. Wasn't an easy decision. I don't think any of the 68 games this year in playoffs is going to be an easy decision in the pipes. Two very capable goaltenders, excellent goaltenders. It was difficult to keep Rosie out, but O had more reps over the last couple weeks. Rosie had to take a bit of time off, dealing with a couple minor injuries. So, that's what gave Owen the upper hand. He's been fantastic for us. His play has deserved the crease. Not that Rosie hasn't, but the fact that O had more reps, that was why we leaned towards him tonight.
And the unfortunate slew foot penalty on Pano Femus 5 minutes into the game. How were you kind of able to roll the lines down a center that early in the game and having to rely on the other forwards to kind of pick up the slack there?
Yeah, that was unfortunate. We obviously don't want that. But you know what? We had some guys really step up today. I thought Juan Copeland had a great game. I thought Evan Klein had a great game. I thought Declan Waddick had a great game. Anthony Agostinelli. These are unsung heroes, guys who don't get the banners before on the outside of the building or maybe all the media. But they were key to our success, and they're going to be down the stretch. They stepped up in different ways at different times, and I couldn't be happier. That's what we expect out of our group. We want everybody to meet the standard. So if everyone's doing that, it's easy for me to move the lines around and have guys fill holes.
And lastly, your first time seeing the Meridian Center with packed house here for the home opener. Just what was that kind of experience like, and how much juice do you think that gave to the team being able to play in front of a raucous home crowd for the first time here in Niagara?
Oh, yeah, the fans were fantastic. The energy was fantastic in the building. It certainly propelled us to a big third period. They were behind us the whole way, all 60 minutes and beyond. So that really helped give us energy to come back and fight back. But the resiliency came out of that room, and I'm so happy that we get to play in front of such an awesome fan base.
So Kyle, post-game thoughts from Daniel Fitzgerald after his first OHL game coached, and I think the one thing we forgot to mention was Owen Flores. So,
yes,
what were your thoughts on his play and getting that opening night start as Rosie was kind of coming back from a small injury there, and Flores, I mean, since they've got him from London, has really been filled in nicely, and the reason why they were able to kind of make Joey Costanzo expendable and traded him to Windsor.
Yeah, he impressed me in that preseason game we got to see him play in, and I thought, wow, okay, so we have a decent goalie here. I really hadn't no knowledge of him going into that trade, and he impressed. And I was wondering why at the beginning of the game we saw Flores in the net. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Rosie not in net, and we really didn't know why until after when we talked to Coach. Just see how he's just lastly recuperating from some nagging injuries, which gave him a couple more days of rest, and he got to play on the weekend. But I think Flores looked really great, and that made, again, like you said, made Costanzo expandable. Unfortunately, it's hard to see him go, but it is what it is, guys. It's the OHL. Again, we say it all the time in this podcast. Stuff like this is going to happen. Can't fret on it. Just got to move on and wish the players well in their future endeavors. So, but Coach's comments, all his first, this was our first post game with him, and basically calm, cool, and collective is what I got for the coach. Man, he took every question well. He addressed the fact that when they need to make adjustments, they made adjustments, and he showed a lot of confidence in his team. And that's what I loved, and I picked from that. There was a lot of confidence and belief in this team, and to have that too at such an early stage. I know he's seen them in training camp and practice and preseason so far, but already to start in the regular season, that's I love to hear that from Coach. And I think this is it's going to be a good year for the Dogs. If we can make these adjustments early and, not kind of freak out when stuff hits the fan, I think that this is a really good fit for head coach of the Ice Dogs. So other than that, again, Flores, I thought played exceptionally well in that first game. He looked strong in that. He challenged when he had to. And he just looked great. He looked like a good backup for the Ice Dogs if they're going to go that way. I'm really not too sure. Maybe we'll try to find out if they plan on doing a split season. Maybe they're just taking it game by game and kind of rolling with that first, and then we'll get to maybe an official starter eventually. But I wouldn't mind if they did like a split start because both these goalies have shown so far they can handle the load. So we'll see.
Both more veteran goaltenders. And speaking with the GM, Darren DeDobler, if you watched the second half of last week's episode, did say that they just wanted to run with two more experienced goaltenders this year. He believes that Joey is going to be a fantastic goaltender in this league, but he just wanted to kind of have more of an experienced group this year as they're really trying to compete this year. But we wish Joey the best of luck in Windsor, and one of the nicest players that we've been able to come across, a fan of the show, and always loved our social media stuff. So big thumbs up to you, Joey, and hope you do well over there in Windsor with Mark Savard as your head coach. I'm sure that's pretty interesting. But
Right.
Speaking of other quick trades, Kyle, let's go over the Ice Dogs kind of made a few quick trades, and if you heard in the
few.
well, in the last week
Yeah.
they made a few. I
Yeah,
mean, let's just say,
More than we're used to.
yeah. Well, if you've seen this offseason, anything's possible.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you did hear here in the post game, our buddy from the Standard, Bern Frank, did ask about the status of Bryce Cook. He was a scratch. A lot of people were wondering what was going on with that. He was actually going to the other dressing room across the way to the Mississauga Steelheads for a second-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a fifth-round pick. Bryce Cook, unfortunately, just seemed like he wanted to move on with what kind of role he was going to have on this team. We did speak to him in training camp, and he was excited to be back with Aiden Castle and Pano Femus, who he grew up with the Toronto Junior Canadians, but it just seemed like, he wanted to kind of move on, and he goes to the Mississauga Ice Dogs, as we want to call them, because they've now got four former Ice Dogs. They basically could be the four horsemen,
now.
the four horsemen of the Ice Dogs. They've got Ryan Struthers, Jake Uberti, Isaac Enright, and now Bryce Cook, all on the Steelheads there, and going back to their heritage with the Mississauga Ice Dogs. But yeah, and unfortunately, Bryce Cook was one of the players that our fans in the Twitter poll had said that they expect to have a big breakout season. But Kyle, what are your thoughts on moving Bryce Cook?
It was tough to see too. But again, guys, like I just said, it's not like a broken record. It's the nature of the game and the nature of the OHL. Stuff like this is going to happen. And unfortunately, Bryce Cook got traded, and we acquired some picks back that we did give up recently when we acquired the LeBlanc twins from Kitchener. We gave up basically the London picks that we acquired from London in exchange for the Sam Dickinson rights. We basically tossed those over to Kitchener for the LeBlanc twins, and then now we required another second round pick back. A better, in my assumption, a better second round pick. I think there's a chance of London finishing higher than Mississauga, so that's why I just put that assumption on it. Did my home Google just went up?
Oh, okay.
And a fourth round pick and a fifth round pick, right? And then also with Costanza, we gained a fourth and a 12th. So the trades are in and out, really.
But the cupboards are still full.
Yeah, but the cupboards are still full at the end of the day, and that's with acquiring players and shuffling some out. So with Bryce Cook leaving, it is a shame because he is a big part of the lineup. But you look at the Ice Dogs lineup, and it's not like we're hurting, right? Like we're not losing Bryce Cook. There's a lot of players that are unfortunately probably going to have to play third line that easily could be in the top six, right? Yep. When they have a full healthy lineup. So
it's just so competitive.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing to have with a team like the Ice Dog. You'd rather have more than six guys that can easily make a top six, because that just means you've built together a really strong, structured team. And we're not going to be exactly like them, but the last team I saw to do this was the Hamilton Bulldogs, and look what happened to them last year. They built a solid, structured team, a team that they can put out four lines that will attack you the same on each line, right? There's not going to be a weaker line. They just came out with all four lines and beat the crap out of you every night. So it's almost like the Ice Dogs are trying to be on that competitive level, and they've done so with the draft, with these trades. And you know what? Again, it's unfortunate to lose Bryce Cook, but at the end of the day, you know what? It is what it is. We move on from it, and we move on and continue this competitive season that we're having so far. So, you know what? Best of luck to Bryce Cook. Say hi to our other former Ice Dog friends that are on that team, and good luck on the Mississauga Ice Dogs this year.
IceDog.
They should be our affiliate team.
Literally. Well, we don't need enough of those because apparently that one is too many. But,
I don't want to even get into that anymore.
You ranted about that last
week.
week.
I woke up this morning and I wasn't mad, so you know.
You had your morning coffee. You didn't worry about an affiliation with the GOJHL.
No, I went for a walk. I went to the grocery store. You know, I did some errands. I went to say hi to my father. You know, visited him. We sat down. We had a couple of laughs. We watched some football, and guess what? Still ain't mad that we're affiliated with the Brantford team, guys. Let's calm down, why don't we?
Speaking about the LeBlanc trade, and I've got it up on the screen here, it's kind of a homecoming for the LeBlanc twins, both being from Port Colborne, coming back home to
region boys
to the Niagara region. So really nice with that. Andrew LeBlanc's a forward, Jacob LeBlanc's a defenseman. They gave up, like you mentioned, some draft picks they acquired from London, a second, 2/3, and a 5th round pick. But again, acquiring these two guys and seeing them on the weekend, I couldn't pick them out. Like they were basically like the same person. Shout out to our buddy Ted Lehman.
Oh, I hope they're the same person. I think they're twins, right?
Yeah. Ted Lehman, the voice of the Ice Dogs, was like, "Wow, you guys could really mess with people." Typical Ted joke, but
God, Ted. Don't worry, Ted. I'm still not aching it. Don't worry.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, the LeBlanc trade, the LeBlanc plural trade, getting both of them. I like that trade, and we kind of got a small glimpse of them. And again, it's hard because on the weekend, you know, they were in the lineup, but they're still trying to get used to this team, just like the whole team's trying to get used to each other.
You got to build chemistry, right? Chemistry is not just going to happen overnight. Exactly. It doesn't happen to everybody.
Exactly. So, let's take a quick break, and when we come back...
Oh, hold off, though. Sorry.
Okay.
Before we get to break,
okay,
I do want to mention also, if anyone doesn't know, Andrew LeBlanc, the forward, came from the same draft as Pano Femus and Aiden Castle. Now, here's a cool thing. Now, the Ice Dogs on their team have 3 first-round players from that draft. Pano Femus, obviously, was number 2 overall. Aiden Castle was 13th overall. Andrew LeBlanc was 17th overall in that draft, guys. So that's the reason. I know a lot of people said that we gave up a lot of draft picks, but we literally got a first-round pick.
Yeah, first-round player.
In the same draft that Castle and Femus came from. So it baffles me when people are getting angry. But, you know, that's a great pickup. We gave up the necessary picks to pick up him. His twin brother, who was on defense, who was a 3rd-round pick. He was 42nd overall. So that's a late second if you're looking at it, right? So...
picking up a 1st and a 2nd for a 2nd, 2/3, and a 5th.
So I thought they did a really good job with trading these picks away and getting the twins. And you know what? I liked Andrew LeBlanc's performance over the weekend. I believe it was his brother or him that got 2 points on the weekend. So you know what? They're going to get adjusted to this team. They're going to gain the chemistry, and I think they're going to be a crucial part to this lineup going forward. Yeah,
and that was great value for, you know, and I'm not saying the Walmart brand great value, but
I love that brand.
That brand sucks.
What do you? I mean, some stuff, okay, maybe some stuff.
No, great value, horrible.
Okay, I'm sorry. You live in luxury.
I do. I just like compliments better. I'm more of a compliment.
It's the same thing.
More of a compliments guy. Speaking of compliments, I'll give
you a compliment.
I'll give compliments to Darren DeDobler. Good segue there for this trade and getting that value for the LeBlanc twins and being back in Niagara. I feel like they're going to be really motivated to break out here, coming from the Kitchener Rangers. So, guys, stay right here. I'll be right back on the Dog Pound podcast. When we come back on the other side, we'll get to the Twitter poll and we'll talk about the road trip weekend. And if we've got time at the end of the show, we'll go over the preseason media polls. So stay right here on the Dog Pound podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara Ice Dogs.
Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points the selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
Hey, this is Landon Cato, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara Ice Dogs.
Thanks, Landon, for that great plug. So, Landon Cato, the captain of the Niagara Ice Dogs, welcomes us back to the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara Ice Dogs. Guys, if you're enjoying the video version of the podcast today on YouTube, make sure you're hitting that like button, smashing subscribe, and smashing that bell icon for all updates on videos that get released on our channel. Make sure you're giving us love on the audio version as well if you're listening to us through your headphones on whatever audio platform you're listening to us right now. And make sure you're following us at Dog Pound Podcast because that's where you're going to see all the updates. Kyle's got a lot of cool graphics posting, live tweeting during the games. And all of our, coverage for the Ice Dogs is going to be mostly promoted through the Twitter account at Dog Pound Podcast. And, again, our Twitter polls are going to be there as well. Our giveaway stuff's going to be there. We've got some exciting table nights coming up that we just heard about today. We've got 4 of them coming up this season, so we're going to be doing giveaways at those. So you guys are going to want to follow Dog Pound Podcast.
And you can meet us.
And you can meet us too. Yeah.
Yeah, most importantly.
Before we continue, Kyle, on our stuff, I want to give a quick shout out to our buddies over at the OHL and 60 podcast who were actually in attendance on Thursday against Mississauga. Was their featured game of the week. I just want to give them a shout out that they've now got a new podcast going on the Bulldogs audio network called the Hammertown Podcast. So not to be mistaken with something else, but if you follow, I believe it's at Hammertown _pod. Yeah. So it's going to be a show specifically for the Hamilton Bulldogs. So congratulations to Reese and Colin on that endeavor with the Bulldogs. They continue to kind of build with them. And I look forward to our friendly banter this year. As we've already discussed, we are bringing back the K9 Cup. So whenever...
Yeah, I just thought of something. These two guys, they're some Chell. They a bunch of Chell players, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, guess what game comes out this year and is cross-platform?
Yeah, because those guys play over on PlayStation.
So we might have to have a little 2v2 Chell action this year between podcasts.
Yeah, maybe we can do Hamilton versus Niagara. We'll do that co-op thing.
Do a live stream.
Oh, that'd be awesome if we can. But we are going to bring back the K9 Cup, and I'm glad it wasn't back last year because it was a clean sweep for Hamilton, and that would have been, not good for us. But we'll look forward to that with them. But congratulations to Reese and Colin for their new Hammertown podcast over there with the Hamilton Bulldogs. Good luck to you, except when you play Niagara, obviously. And we'll have to do something special for that K9 Cup. But anyways, Kyle, let's move on to the second part of today's episode. And we'll do the Twitter poll last because we have to talk about the games first. So the Ice Dogs on the weekend did the Pure Michigan road trip. And if you see, you're looking at the thumbnail today, the Pure Michigan sweep. I wish I had a broom. Hey. I should have got a broom sound effect, but that's okay.
I should have brought my broom. It's in the other room.
No, okay. And I don't feel like getting up to go get mine right now. But anyways, so Niagara, they take down the Flint Firebirds over the weekend, and they're another projected top 10 team. So the Ice Dogs right back-to-back had Mississauga and Flint, who are 2 top 10 teams in the CHL power rankings. So that's encouraging to get 3 out of 4 points from those two.
That was a great game. Like, I was watching that, and Brandon was on the road with the team. He got to do the color commentary. I was actually watching on my phone, and this game was great. Like, the Ice Dogs went down to 2-0, but the comeback that they pulled off was fantastic. This was overall just a really good game to watch, a really fun game to watch, and really showed this team. It was the one game out of the weekend I saw the team really come together. I know that it was a crushing defeat against Saginaw, but the Flint game, I saw a lot of glimpse of this team really coming together and looking great. Kevin He, like I mentioned before, scored his first OHL goal in this one. And it was assisted by Andrew LeBlanc, the new guy. So I was like, okay, here we go. We got a double new goal. And then Aiden Castle, who I think was like the highlight of the weekend, man. That guy, since the first game, Aiden Castle's really shown his development, I think, and is really going to be, I think he's going to be a goal scorer / high scoring player on this team. But like I said, this game was fantastic. I really enjoyed this game on the weekend, and it was a big comeback from 2-0 win.
Especially being Flint's home opener, they were ready to go. The IceDogs kind of took it to them, I think, having that have already played a game. They were kind of had their legs under them a little bit more than Flint did. Flint got Brennan Othman back from the New York Rangers. He had a great training camp up with his NHL club and scored 2 goals. Could have had a lot more as well. So he was dangerous. But the IceDogs did a good job in the second half of that game, really limiting his chances and really looking at Brennan Othman as a guy that's probably going to be up there in the top 5 in OHL points this year. So the IceDogs really did a good job of trying to kind of isolate him. I know he did score 2 goals, but I think they did a good job in that. And then Josh Rosenzweig, it's his first start of the year. He has about 5 or 6 really good saves that we had kind of written down for the saves of the game, and we really had a hard time when I was on commentary.
40 of 42, man. He stopped a lot of shots this game, especially in his first game, but he was used to that, right? You know what I mean? Like, you can sit here and feel bad for Josh Rosenzweig, but at the that was like nightly for him last year.
Yeah.
So
him and Costanzo,
he's kind of used to it.
Him and Costanzo faced like on average of 40 to 45 shots a game last year.
Yeah, but he looked great. Whatever he's recovered from, he looked fantastic, and I thought he had a really good game as well. Ended up getting the 3rd star. But to be outshone by a prospect, Will Cranley on the other side, man, did he ever look great too. And he's the he's the prospect of, I believe, who drafted him? St. Louis. That's it. St. Louis. He's a St. Louis draft pick. He had that one.
He came over from Ottawa in a trade this offseason because the Flint Firebirds lost Luke Cavalin, who signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah. But a 6th round pick of the St. Louis Blues, Will Cranley. He had that unbelievable save in that game.
Oh, and David Jesus.
I had to double look that one while I was watching on my phone. I couldn't believe it. But it was a goalie showdown, but the IceDogs coming on top with a nice comeback win, scoring those 3 goals in the second period and ultimately closing it out in the third.
Yeah, David Jesus after the game said, "Yeah, I'm probably going to be on the OHL save of the night." So he was pretty rattled about that. That was a huge save, but to keep them in it for Will Cranley. But the IceDogs ended up holding on, and a big thanks to Josh Rosenzweig for that win. He played great in his first outing of the year. And what can you say more about Kevin He getting his first career goal? And like you mentioned, Aiden Castle, the guy's through 3 games as a 3-game goal streak. So whatever he learned at Minnesota's camp really taught him a lot. Maybe just being on the same ice as Kirill Kaprizov.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Kind of joked around with him. Maybe what did you learn from him? And maybe he'll be on my fantasy team one day when he's playing next to Kirill. But great start for the IceDogs and a great first win for head coach Daniel Fitzgerald. I believe Ted Lehman made a joke on the radio broadcast. Only like 1,600 games to go before he's the winningest coach in the OHL history. So game 1 down and however many to go, I can't even remember now. But then moving on to the game against Saginaw to finish off the road trip. Quick turnaround. But I want to say, Kyle, real quick, just being around the team a little bit more on that road trip, really saw them really starting to come together. And especially for a team that has so many new players this year, trying to gain that chemistry on and off the ice, I think having that early road trip was perfect for this team and exactly what they needed to really build that chemistry off the ice because there's just so many new guys, and you heard them kind of conversing, learning more about each other, ribbing each other, the typical, hockey player road stories. But it was really good to see, and it seemed like there was a high morale. Everybody was getting along really well, and the coaching staff really tried to emphasize like the cohesiveness, and even kind of asked everybody, what did you guys all do, and kind of stuff like that. So it seemed like the coaching staff and the players are really starting to come together, and a great early road trip to start the year.
Exactly, and they looked they looked unbelievable in this game. They ran over Saginaw. Saginaw coming off the high of that first game with Michael Misa getting his first 2 goals in his OHL career in that first game. And, must be nice because Michael Misa would have sounded nice in a nice dog jersey, but not going to get into that. But, 7 goals. Incredible. 3 in the first, 1 in the second, 3 in the third.
10 goals.
10 goals in total, but for IceDogs scoring 7 out of the 10 goals. Just a dominating performance against the Saginaw Spirit. You had a lot of first year. Kevin Yee scoring his second goal, which is fantastic. Another nice goal. And you got Aiden Castle getting his third, but you had Micho getting his first of the season, Denizio getting his first of the season, Waddick as well. Micho ended up getting actually 2 in this game, but then David Jesus scores his first goal as a Niagara Ice Dog, which is great to see. And then the other newcomer, Jacob LeBlanc on defense, ended up getting 2 points in this game. So like you said, it was nice. I could see it also as well. It was another one of those games where you can really see the team coming together and gaining that chemistry. So I think you're right. This weekend trip really was in the perfect spot for this team. And I think if I could pick one takeaway from not only this weekend, but including the first game of the year, if there's one thing they can work on, and I noticed it a lot in this game, the penalties. They are the second most penalized team. We might be in first, but we are the second most penalized team in the OHL right now. I think they need to tone it down a little bit because they are rocking a 43 total penalty minutes when there are teams that have 17 and 12 in this league. So I think they need to maybe tone it back a little bit and watch the penalties. I know it's tough sometimes, especially depending on what the situation is in the game. But something they could work on for sure that would probably help in the end, right? And take away some unnecessary power plays. So regardless, a dominating performance by the IceDogs, and only the third game of the year with this core together for the very first time, right? It's basically, you're looking at the roster, it's half new and half old and half returning players, right? And I think the returning players are starting to get, I think there's more newer almost now that Bryce Cook's gone, right? And we traded away Joey Costanzo. It's almost like the newer, there's more new players now, which is great to see, but they're all gaining that chemistry early on, which is the most important thing here. So it's good to see if they can continue this right now with this momentum and continue to build that chemistry early on. They're going to be a very competitive team this year, like I said.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they were outshot in most of these games, but they found a way to win the game, and you can say, they're taking a lot of penalties, and they've luckily been able to overcome that. The Saginaw game, there were so many storylines. Like you could talk about it for an hour just on itself. I mean, you had 6 different goal scorers for the IceDogs. Saginaw was a team that had come off a 10-goal performance the night before against a very good Guelph Storm team. You thought, if you're Niagara, wow, you got to watch out for this. And, they basically held them down for most of the game. Michael Misa, he had an assist in the game, but the IceDogs really took time and space away from him. They were playing the body on him very physically in the offensive zone, and their captain, Josh Bloom, really wasn't able to get anything going as well. So it was a very, very good game all around. And you mentioned the David Jesus goal. If you guys haven't seen it, it was a beautiful play by Matthew Pappas skating around the net and then kind of threw the puck back out to the high slot, and David Jesus cutting in from the point really just redirected it. It was a thing of beauty. And the other goal I want to mention, Declan Waddick. We'll get to him in our Twitter poll, but he had a great game. Like he had a goal, he had an assist, and he was playing very well defensively. Again, they're doing all of this without Pano Femus, who's one of their top players. So for them to be able to come out like they did, I think it was incredible. And we really saw, in all 3 phases of the game, forward, defense, and goaltending, they all showed up and they all contributed in their own way. Even the guys that didn't get on the score sheet, Anthony Gustinelli was out there blocking shots. He really blocked a good one off his leg after the second period and was limping off, but he came back out there as a warrior. And just everybody contributed, even if they weren't on the scoreboard, and you really saw all those guys buying in, even though they were down a couple of forwards. You're down Juan Copeland as well. Unfortunate for him, Juan Copeland, friend of the show, he was back home in Michigan, but got dinged up in practice just a day before leaving for the Michigan trip. So he didn't get to play, unfortunately, in front of his home friends and family that were at both games. But yeah, the IceDogs did a very good job of coming out with 4 points, which is not an easy thing to do, and they've only done it 2 other times prior to this where they've come away with a Michigan sweep. So very good first impression for the coaching staff under Daniel Fitzgerald, Brandon Shaw, and Daniel Rashiso. It's I don't know. It's just been a feel good week. I understand that there's going to be ups and downs, but through 3 games, you can already see just by watching these games that just everything looks different about this team, and they're not going to be, the laughing stock of the league like they kind of were at times last year.
Yeah, and it really looks like the 3 guys out of these 3 games really took control of this team and carried the team on their backs. Not to say that not everyone else is trying, but I'm talking about the 3 forwards. Castle, Michaud, and Sarazati have really proven to take the reins of the leaders, the team that's going to lead this team in terms of production. I'm not taking anything away, again, guys like Fima, Zito, Waddick, and others, but like Castle, Michaud, and Sarazati really, I think, showed themselves offensively in the last 3 games and really showed an improvement in their game from last year, and have really stepped into those shoes to take control of this team and be the leaders of this team when it comes to point production.
Yeah, so kind of going off of that, we'll segue into our Twitter poll from this past week. And guys, follow at Dog Pound Podcast. We'll be putting a poll up most weeks for our shows. So if you want your opinions heard, go over and vote on the poll. So it was our which IceDog player impressed you the most with their performance through the first week of the OHL season? Daniel Michaud, Declan Waddick, Kevin He, or Aiden Castle. The results were pretty split for the most part, but actually Aiden Castle came away with the win here with 36.8%.
Oh.
Second place was Daniel Michaud at 27.4%, and Kevin He at 26.3%. Declan Waddick was only 9.5%, but he had a very good game against Saginaw, so yeah. I feel like he needed recognition for a guy who's a bottom 6 forward, or who was a bottom 6 forward last year, and really stepped it up to start the year. But Kyle, your thoughts on Aiden Castle's 3-game goal streak, and he had an assist as well.
Yeah, he's been the MVP, not be the flashiest, but has really stepped up when the team needs that scoring production, right? So I think he was warranted to win this poll. I think Michaud and he close second and third place are definitely warranted as well. Kevin He, having an impressive rookie start to his year in 3 games, has 2 goals. And not only does he have 2 goals, but he's looked the part on the ice. Like he's a very, very noticeable player. Like, he's not getting lost in the shuffle out there as a rookie. He's a very noticeable rookie. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I think he's going to be a player that's going to be very noticeable and is going to help this team in the end when it comes to production.
Yeah, and Daniel Michaud actually won the player of the night from his 2-goal, 1-assist performance in Saginaw. That might have been one of the best games I've seen of Daniel Michaud in an IceDogs uniform. And he'll look to continue that against his former team, the Oshawa Generals. Him and David Jesus get to play against their old team on Friday night, and they'll be welcoming Dylan Rubrick and Cam Butler back as former Niagara IceDogs. And Rubrick's actually off to a very good start with Oshawa, so I'm interested to see kind of how everything goes with that. But all 4 of these guys, I think, had a great week, and they all deserved recognition as to why the IceDogs are 2-0-1 right now on the season. And it's just been great all around. But before we wrap up, let's go to Coach Daniel Fitzgerald and his thoughts on finishing off the Michigan sweep on the weekend. Here on the post game with head coach Daniel Fitzgerald after sweeping the Michigan road trip, getting 4 points tonight, last night in Flint, and then coming away with a big 7-2 victory here in Saginaw tonight. Coach, just describe your first time on the road with these guys and picking up a big 4 points as you come home.
Yeah, it's huge for our group, obviously, with so many new players, and get out here and give us an opportunity to bond and get to know each other a little bit more. But on the ice, we built a lot of trust with each other, and to get those 2 wins against 2 very good hockey clubs is huge for us, and changing this this team into a winning hockey club.
After the first week, 2-0-1, and playing 2 of the top 10 teams ranked in the CHL Power Rankings, just how encouraging is that for your group, being able to come away with 5 out of 6 points this week, playing some very, very tough teams, and what isn't an easy road trip in the first week of the season here?
No, and we're not going to have any easy games throughout the year, but obviously some very high-powered teams, and to get 5 or 6 points to start the year, including this road trip in Michigan, for us it's huge. We're excited about what we've seen so far. We want to be a team that's hard to play against. We want to lean into the identity of being, a hard hat, lunch pail type team. So if we do the little things and we stick to that, we think we're going to be successful. And I think that proved true in the last 2 nights.
10 goals in the 2 games, both goaltenders coming away with victories. 6 different goal scorers tonight out of the 7 goals. Just talk about the consistency and the contributions you're getting from up and down the lineup. 3 guys scored their first goal tonight, and it just seems like everybody's getting on the score sheet and everybody's contributing in all ends of the ice.
Yeah, first of the goaltenders, Josh and Owen both played exceptional in their 2 games this weekend, and then with Pano out, there's an opportunity for some guys to step up. And Andrew LeBlanc going down as a late scratch today. Guys like Declan Waddick and Daniel Michaud, and Andrew before he got hurt had a great game in Flint. So for us, it was great to see that everybody's contributing and everybody's getting a lot closer to the standard, and the buy-in's been pretty good. So we're happy with what we've built so far, and we want to continue to build upon it.
You mentioned with the absence of Pano Femus and the other centermen having to step up, and the forwards having to step up as well in that the kind of 4th line rotation there. Just talk about Daniel Michaud getting 2 goals and an assist tonight, really stepping up, really being that first star that you guys needed, and just everybody being able to step up in the absences of these guys. And is that something that you're kind of trying to instill in these guys? Next man up, we expect you to produce when you come in the lineup.
Yeah, I don't think it's any surprise. Daniel creates offense when he does the little things, and plays the game the right way, plays hard, sticks to the details, sticks to good habits. So we're not a team that's going to be able to cheat the game and be successful. We need to do the little things, and Daniel exemplified that.
So coming back, you play Barrie on Thursday, and then a quick turnaround for a Friday home game. Just what is the message to the guys after a strong weekend, after a strong week? You're coming home, the morale's high, the confidence is high. What is your message to them going into the second week of the season, and knowing that there's still 65 games left in the season?
Yeah, we're not satisfied by any means. And as a staff, as a team, we don't want to get too high. We don't want to get too low. We want to level set after every game. There's good things and bad things in every hockey game. So we need to identify those and make sure that we're sticking to the process. It's a long year, and we need to focus on what we're doing day in and day out in the process, not so much the result.
And last question, there's a lot of new guys on this team. Do you think an early road trip like this would be something that kind of brings the team together, that good bonding opportunity for the guys to be able to kind of learn each other, know each other off the ice, and having such an early first road trip to kind of gain the camaraderie and the off-ice chemistry that they're trying to build on the ice as well?
Yeah, obviously I don't put together the schedule, but I'm thrilled at the way that it laid out. We needed this with the number of new faces and, obviously the new staff. We all need to get, an opportunity to bond, and what better way than to go on the road, have some time together, have some laughs, and then win some hockey games.
Head coach of the Niagara IceDogs, Daniel Fitzgerald, thanks a lot for doing this, and we'll see you next week back home in Brennian Center.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
We are not satisfied. My favorite part of that whole wrap-up, great job by Daniel Fitzgerald, wrapping up the 2 games. Love that. They go 2-0-1. We are not satisfied. That right there goes to show how this culture has changed here in Niagara. Again, they have a great week like that, and they know that there's still another hill and many more hills to climb, and they will not just be satisfied with having one great road trip.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself, and that just shows you that the coaching that's in place, especially with head coach Fitzgerald, the IceDogs are in a good place right now. They're in a very good place, and I have all the faith in the world in Fitzy, and I think he's definitely the guy to get this done and take the Dogs to the promised land. Just after hearing that, and again, I know it's early, but that's a great sign to hear that off a great weekend like that, still not satisfied. We want it at the end of the day. There's 68 games. You got to play all 68 games to end the season, and you got to work your ass off to get to the playoffs, the promised lands eventually. And obviously the end goal is a Memorial Cup. So, yeah, like you said, I very great post game there from Fitzy, and in a good look and outlook for this team.
Absolutely. So we're out of time today, guys. So next week we'll go over the OHL preseason media pool. There was a lot to get to this week with a lot of post game stuff as well. But Kyle, quickly before we wrap up, just thoughts on we're raving about it, but there's always things to improve on. Like you mentioned, the penalties have to come down, and they got to get healthy on the in the forward group there with Themis being able to be back in the lineup this week after the suspension. Hopefully Copeland's back, and one of the LeBlanc bros is back as well. But just thoughts kind of as we roll into the second week here, on a good note.
But yeah, just like that, they got to stay healthy, stay out of the box, and stay off the suspension list is another big thing, right? Got to understand the rules now this year. They're really cracking down on it, and the more we stay out of those three things, the more we can continue to be competitive with a full, healthy lineup. Obviously, injuries are going to happen. It's part of the game, and you're just going to have to learn to work with it. But, I'm excited. I think the Ice Dogs could definitely clean up what they need to clean up and really do what they need to do to continue to strive towards the end goal here, and is obviously to be a playoff competing team. So I'm excited. We got 3 big games this week, obviously starting with Barrie on Thursday. I will be live tweeting with that. I'll be watching from home, and then me and Brandon will obviously be at the Meridian Center Friday and Saturday games against Oshawa and Guelph, a West team coming in on Saturday. First time in a long time we're getting a West team coming in.
Another top team.
What's that?
Another top team projected.
Yeah, projected top team. We'll see about that. But that's on Saturday night at the Meridian Center. But other than that, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited.
2 things. Who is going to score goals in Daniil Gushin's absence? I guess the answer is everybody. And secondly, I can confirm that the Ice Dogs bus did, in fact, go through Brantford, Ontario. But it didn't stop there. The team didn't move there.
Oh, we didn't.
No.
Okay.
It just kept going all the way.
I swear there'll be an arena that just sprouts up like a tent. You just go whoop, and then look, they're gonna stay there, because that's what everyone else thinks.
I was really ready to tweet when the bus got past Brantford to say, can confirm Ice Dogs are in Brantford as they go through the highway.
See ya.
The Ice Dogs are staying in Niagara, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from Darren DeDobler, straight from his mouth, and they are bidding on the CHL Memorial Cup going into next year, but they need to be competitive, and that's why this is a good first step with the way that they've played this first week to be able to be in consideration for that. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up today. We're going to start getting into our player interview stuff. We want to kind of get our feet wet with the regular podcast through the first couple episodes, and then we'll start having our player interviews. Maybe we'll do it just for maybe a segment on the show, but we got a lot of stuff planned for At the Rink this year, and Kyle's got a lot of cool stuff going on the graphic side of things. So that's going to be it for today's episode of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara Ice Dogs. Make sure to stay up to date with all the IceDogs content on the network by following our social media accounts, especially at Dog Pound Podcast, and as well on Facebook and Instagram. And finally, a big thank you to you out there, the viewers and listeners and Ice Dog fans, for tuning in, listening along for another episode. For my co-host Kyle Aikett, my name is Brandon Caputo signing off for another successful episode of the Dog Pound Podcast right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network by sports fans for sports fans. And as always, bark, 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 go Dogs go. We'll talk to you guys again very soon. You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.